Course, which is data structure and algorithm, and today we are going to see the role of algorithms in computing. So today's agenda is what are algorithms? Why is the study of algorithms worthwhile? What is the role of algorithms relative to other technologies used in computers? So let us see the definition of algorithms. So informally, an algorithm is a well-defined computational procedure that takes some value or set of values as input and produces some values or set of values or output. In algorithm is thus a sequence of computational steps that transform the input into the output. Now in algorithm there should not be any redundant steps. You have to remember that, okay? So we can also view an algorithm as a tool for solving a well-specified computational problems. So this material I have taken from Introduction to Algorithm, Thomas H. Corman book. In sorting algorithm is if we want to sort something, there is a huge use of algorithms. Okay, we might need to sort a sequence of numbers into non-decreasing order. Non-decreasing means it's increasing order, right? So in sorting, we have humongous application of algorithm. Okay, you name it, a lot of sorting algorithms are existing already. Okay, and this problem arises frequently in the practice and provides fertile ground for introducing many standard design. Okay, so here is how we formally define the sorting problem. So basically we should have a let us say we have numbers a1 to an, and then let's say these are the numbers 31, 43, 59, 26, 41 and 58, and we have to sort it in non-decreasing order, that means increasing order, right? So it's a valid problem, and this sorting algorithm is useful, and it has many applications. So if we want to sort something, then definitely we need to write an algorithm, right? So similar, so that we can understand that the species correspond to those genes are also similar in nature. Okay, so and that is the DNA technology. Determine the sequence of 3 billion chemical base pairs that makes up DNA, human DNA, storing this information in databases and developing tools for data analysis. So this is one of the area where you need a computer algorithm to be developed. Each of these steps requires sophisticated algorithm, right? And then another important application is search engine. So search engine, what happens? We have search engine. You know that Google is a search engine, popular search engine. There are other search engine also, Bing and others. Bing is provided by Microsoft. So in this search engine, we can to develop a search engine, we need to develop algorithms, right? So when the first search engine was developed by Google, the founder of Google, that algorithm is called PageRank algorithm. PageRank. So how PageRank algorithm works? Normally, if you type something on Google, some specific information, based on that, the algorithm, the PageRank algorithm will work, and it will some pages will be popping in front of you, and it will be having some rank. So at first position you will see one page, at second position you will see another page, third position you will see another page. Okay, like that it will be ranked. Now you can think that how this ranking happened, right? So for that lot of information has to be processed. So first what will happen? First, let us say some specific information. Let us say you are typing, let us say algorithm itself, the terminology algorithm, right? So what it will do, the search engine will first find where this term is actually available, in which are the pages, and out of those pages, which pages is having maximum centrality and prestige. Those things, those I'm not going to discuss, but there are some in social network. In social network there is a concept called centrality. Centrality means a particular node is connected to how many nodes. Okay, I mean I'm giving the broader concept. So if let us say this node is connected to, let us say 100 node, and another node, let us say this is node A, and another node is only connected to, let us say 3 nodes. Okay, and let's say that is node B. So this node centrality will be higher than this node. So such kind of pages, we can call that node as pages, right? This is on one page, this is another page. So crawler will crawl the information from the page, and it will try to retrieve the data, and it will see what are these values are. Based on that, it will make ranking. Okay, so the centrality is more, means chances are there that that website, that web page will be popped up first. I mean, that means maximum number of user actually using that web page. Okay, that particular page where this information is there, algorithm information, and the pages which are having less visits, those pages will be coming at the lower rank. So that's why this whole SEO technique, search engine optimization technique, is was developed. Search engine optimization, right? This is a big thing, search engine optimization. So you will see some specific website in India. I'm not naming them. If you type any topic, let's say if you type data structure, or let's say if you type NP completeness or hard problems, any topic, those particular companies' website only popping up. I'm not naming them. So meaning is that they have done extensive search engine optimization, and those pages are here for long time, 10 years, 20, maybe more than 10 years. So people are accessing those pages. So it is not necessarily that when the website which will be popping the first position, that website is having the most relevant information. It is not that. Maybe people are visiting these pages more and more, maybe for decades. That's why Google search engine is rating those pages as high value pages. So they are making they're making available those pages at the top positions in the ranking. Not necessarily that those pages are having quality information, not like that. Okay, so this is called search engine optimization. Nowadays this has started. So it's for search engine optimization, you have to do many things. Whenever you are writing this blog or website, you have to give hashtags. Okay, hashtags. So some keywords, not hashtags, let us call it keywords. So those keywords are important. They used to dump those keywords on those web pages. Okay, so whenever people used to search, let us say algorithm is a keyword, based on that keyword, this page people used to, the chances are there that those pages will be popped up first in the ranking. Okay, so this is how this ranking of the web pages happens. So this is basically, initially we have this page rank algorithm which is being developed by the founder of Google. Of course, right now this algorithm has been changed immensely. We don't know which algorithm Google is right now using, but long back, 90s and all, that time it is page rank algorithm only Google used to use. Now they have more sophisticated algorithm, right? So, and then not only that, example of problems that makes essential use of algorithms include finding good routes on which the data will be traveled. So for routing purpose also, which route data will be traveled, for that also you need algorithm, right? So everywhere algorithm you need to write. Without writing algorithm you cannot do anything. Next example that we have is called electronic commerce. So electronic commerce is another area where extensively you need to have critical algorithms. Okay, because in e-commerce, first one thing is the recommended system and all. There you need algorithm recommended system. Let us say you have searched some particular topic on Amazon or any other social electronic commerce, any other e-commerce website. So immediately recommended system will suggest you similar type of, one second. Yeah. So in electronic commerce you will find these two ways you can interpret it. Where in e-commerce we need algorithm implementation. One thing is that recommended system that the company itself is doing. Whosoever visitor is visiting their website, let us say Amazon website, and what kind of product he has searched. Based on that, they will make a table and all, and they'll try to make a graph and all. So and then next time when that same user comes to search, they will say that you have last time. Based on that, they will recommend some product. And this is one thing. Another thing is that when you purchase something from the electronic commerce websites, that time you need to have card numbers and password and bank statement. So these things need security related transaction. Means monetary transaction means you need strong security, right? So that for that you need public key cryptography and digital signature. Electronic commerce include public key cryptography and digital signature. So in cryptography you have two types of cryptography. One is public key cryptography, another one is private key cryptography, and digital signature is for, it is digital signature, you know what is that, right? So which are based on the numerical algorithms and number theory. This cryptography and digital signature both are based on numerical algorithms and number theory. Okay. Next is manufacturing and other areas. In manufacturing, other commercial enterprise often need to allocate resources in the most beneficial way. An oil company may wish to know where to place its oil in order to maximize its expected profit. This is one. So he might be interested to have the manufacturing company owner. They might be interested to have a look where we should actually have the well so that our profit maximizing, right? So that is more like a graph problem. Okay, a graph and resource related problem. Resource allocation, not graph, resource allocation problem. And then sometimes political candidate may want to determine where to spend money buying campaign advertising in order to maximize the chances of winning an election. So this is also so nowadays this thing happens in election time also, right? The data they collect, and then based on that they do statistical analysis and all. So everything depends on at the end, even though they are doing statistical analysis, at the end they need to have a algorithm to implement things, okay, so that finally they will get some results, segmented areas where the candidate can run his election. So such kind of applications are there. And let me, why it is okay, one second. Yeah, another interesting problem which where we will be studying in this course is called LCS problem. Okay, longest common subsequence. It is already written, longest common subsequence problem. Now what is longest common subsequence and why it is used? So we have given two order sequence of symbols. So this is used in DNA technology, as I said. Given the two DNA sequence, we have to see what is the commonality among those sequences, and what is the maximum commonality. So that is called longest common subsequence. So let's say we have a, for example, sequence of let's say we have a two sequences X and Y. So X is, let's say, A, B, C, D, E, F and G. Okay, and Y is, let's say, A, B, D, F, this H and then H, let's say M, N. So X and Y. Now so these are two sequences. Okay, this used in chromosome related application. That means in these two sequences, what is the commonality, which are the common string, what is the common subsequence, what are the subsequence, and then what are the common subsequences, and what is the longest common subsequence. Three things you have to collect. So if you think this problem, if you see this problem is not that good. I mean, the solution is not that quickly possible, because if we have, let us say, m number of instances, let us say this is m number of instances, this is n number of instances of that. That means n number of characters, let us say. So in this case, how many? If x has m symbols and y has n symbols, then x and y have 2 to the power m, and 2 to the power n possible subsequences. This many subsequences we have. So each subsequences, let's say for m we have 2 to the power, for m we have 2 to the power n subsequences. For y we have 2 to the power n subsequences, and for this we have 2 to the power m subsequences. So for each comparison we will be having 2 to the power n. For m comparison will be m into 2 to the power n, right? So it is huge. So this problem cannot be tackled just like that with brute force method. So we will be having for that dynamic programming solution. Dynamic programming. Now don't confuse with dynamic programming and this programming terminology is nothing related with Java program or C program. This is just a terminology. I'll tell you when I'll teach in detail. I'll tell you what programming means here. Dynamic programming, this term programming is different than normal programming. Okay. So first we have to find what is the sequence, what is the subsequence. So given this sequence, the subsequence will be A B, C, okay, A, B, C, D. These are the subsequences. And for here also same. This is whatever the subsequences. Now we have to find the common subsequence. So first of all, common subsequence, minimum common subsequence is A. Then if I say AB is also common subsequence, right? And then ABC is not. Then A. So now here subsequence and substring, don't be confused about that. Substring is different. Substring is needed continuously, like A, B, C, and then let us say B, C, D. So this is substring continuous B, C, D. Here it is not such. Here A, B, C, and then let's say after that you have D. Okay, A, B, C, D, and here A, B, D. This also will be common subsequence. A, B, and then D. From here A, B, D, and from here A, B, D. This is also common subsequence. Not necessarily that it always has to be continuous. Okay, so like that if you go, then you will find that A, B, C. So what will be the common longest one? First A, B. First is the A, then AB is the common subsequence, and then after AB we have ABD. After ABD we have ABD F, ABDF. This is also common subsequence. After that ABDF, because F is here, F is here. Here it is G. So H also can come. ABDFH. This is the longest common subsequence we have. Out of all subsequences, we have longest common subsequence. So this problem can be solved by dynamic programming. So this is one of the vast interesting example of writing algorithm and necessity of algorithm, right? Dynamic programming can solve it. So what you have to do, you have to actually come up with a recursive equation. You have to build a recursive. Every dynamic programming should have a corresponding recursive equation. That you remember. So you have to come up with a recursive equation. Once you do that, then remaining job will be very easy. So tables and all you have to make. Okay. Next we have this data structure importance. Data structure is way of storing and organizing data to facilitate access and modification. No single data structure works well for all purposes, and so it is important to know the strength and limitation of several of them. So data structure will be learning. Normally, if you look at the data structures, we have a linear data structure and we have a non-linear data structure. Okay, so in non-linear data structure, linear data structure, what are they? Stack, first of all. Okay, stack, Q, U, E, and then linked list, and then linked list, and then here you have trees. Non-linear data structure. Two types of data structure. These we have to learn. So data structure is basically for space allocation and optimization, space optimization. And then finally we'll be having the hard problems. Before that we will also learn some strategies like dynamic programming I have discussed over here, dynamic programming and greedy method. And after that this hard problem concept will come at the 6th unit. So what is the meaning of hard problem? Hard problem is that our usual measure of efficiency. So now why these hard problems comes into the picture? Because our usual measure of efficiency is speed. Normally we say that if any algorithm is faster, then it is efficient. So how much faster, that is little bit relative. Okay, how long an algorithm takes to produce its result, that is faster. Okay, there is some problems, however, for no efficient solution is known. I just told you there are many problems for which the efficient solution is not there. We will study An interesting subset of this problem which is known as NP complete. You can call them hard problems also to be very precise. Otherwise, you can call that set as NP complete problem. NP complete problem. What is the characteristics of this problem? This problem cannot be solved. I just wrote it earlier also. I just told you cannot be solved in polynomial time. These are the problems. So why NP complete problems are interesting? First, although no efficient algorithm is available, that is not there. This is first thing. And second thing is that no one knows. Second thing is that no one knows. No one knows that whether in future also people will be able to solve those problems. What is the example of those kind of problems? Let us say vertex cover. Vertex cover I told you in the last class, right? Which are the minimum vertex that will cover this? Let us say this parallelogram. Which are the minimum vertex? If I said this and this, which is correct answer. This vertex will cover this edge, and this vertex will cover this and this edge. So here only two vertices are enough. Minimum vertex cover. Okay. So minimum vertex cover is important, not maximum, minimum. And then this is the second point. The third point is second point is the set of NP has a remarkable property. What is that property? This property is that so this is one. Second one is that this one cannot be solved in polynomial. No one knows. Second one is that one interesting features of this NP complete problem is that if anybody can solve one problem, the other problems are related to them, are related to it. This problem was connected, the NP complete problem. If somebody comes up, let us say you have developed this vertex cover on proper solution in polynomial time in vertex cover, then immediately the remaining problems which are also in NP complete can be solved because there is a connection between these problems. These problems are connected to each other. Okay, so the relationship among NP complete problems makes the lack of efficiency solution all the more tantalizing. This is another interesting thing. If anybody can comes up, then other problems also will be solved immediately, but no one is able to solve the first problem. Okay. Third, several NP complete problems are similar but not identical to problems for which we do not know the efficient algorithm. Computer scientists are intrigued by how a small change to the problem statement can cause a big change to the efficiency of the based on the algorithm. Right. So this is NP complete set. Okay, and then we have another concept which is called parallelism, which greatly affects the algorithm efficiency. So what is parallelism is that when you use multi-core, different core, and we can liken this multi-core computer to several sequential computers on a single chip. So more and more processor comes together and they works as a single processor. So that is parallelism. But parallelism we are not considering in this course, but it is also greatly affect the performance of any algorithm, right? Same algorithm, if you put in a parallel processing environment, then it will perform more quicker than a single processor system. Okay.